Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Hi, everyone. How are you today? We have an exclusive interview from someone inside the churches with some really, really important information to share. Can you hear me speaking from the purple couch?
Yes, I can, Miss Tracy.
Yes. How are you?
I am doing great. And you?
I'm doing great. It's Christmas time, and a Christmas present has landed on my lap,
All right.
and you are the Christmas present.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yes. And you're going to be a Christmas present for others. So let me tell you before we begin with you telling and helping others. When my son was about 2, and I was in the Catholic Church, and as I hope you all know by now, the Catholic Church has some huge issues with their priests and little boys and sometimes little girls. And I was working at a hospital when I had a momentary lapse of judgment because things had already happened that I needed to check. But I had this little boy who was 2, and all of a sudden, out loud, I was speaking to myself basically. And I said, I cannot wait for my son to become an altar boy.
Hmm.
Mhm. And an old time nurse, one of those nurses that used to wear those little square hats,
Yeah.
said to me, like snapping me out of it, and she said, Tracy. And I looked at her, and she just shook her head. No.
Hmm.
And I nodded,
Wow.
letting her know I understood, and we never talked about it again.
Wow.
And this nurse saved my son's life.
Definitely. Wow.
Shall we begin?
Yes.
Yes. Tell us your story.
Yeah. So, you know, I have been, of course, raised in the church. Um, so they used to call me the church girl in my
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood. And I would, a lot of times we would have people come to church. I could convince anyone to come to church with me. And so, really being exposed to so many different types of denominations. I was born into a Baptist church. I've been to a non denominational, Pentecostal. I also have friends, of course, who was in Catholic churches. And we had a very unorthodox Catholic church in our area because they had a lot of soul, um and we basically worship across the line. So I really didn't see too much of a denomination separation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of just, could flow in
Yes.
whichever denomination. But as I got older, I became a minister. I was ordained under a certain assembly.
Ooh.
And so, what I can say is that there was this one bishop who
Yes.
left the East Coast, and
Mhm.
now he's a Midwestern bishop, has written
A lot of books.
a lot of books, and had a lot of conferences. Now,
And the conferences were mainly under the same name over and over because
yes.
it was a book, it was a conference, and the
Hmm.
concept sold. It was
Yes.
a good concept.
Yes. It was definitely a good concept because it
Yes.
blew up.
It blew up.
It blew
Yes.
up.
Yes.
And but a lot of the books, they did have a ghostwriter for a lot of their books. And I do recall one situation in particular where there was a young man, and he was referred to this Midwestern bishop by another bishop.
Hmm.
And he he wanted to write a book. And so
The bishop
the
wanted to write.
no the, actually the young man wanted to write a book. and
God,
and
God.
so the bishop was like, hey, I can help you do that. We can, do this book together. So the young man trusted him because the bishop that he knew, you know referred him to him. And so he said, look, I can set up everything. And at this time, the young man's mom was actually sick, and she was in another country. And so he didn't really have the money to go and take care of her, as well as pay for any of her medical bills, because she did need surgery. So this Midwestern bishop was like, hey, I can give you this $10,000 up front. You can sign this paper and we can get this book done, and you'll get residuals. So,
What?
of course, mhm.
I said,
So
what?
now the guy was like, oh, this is great. I have the money. I can go take care of my mom. And he's thinking, okay, I've signed this paper. I get residuals. Now, he didn't take it to an attorney. So now he's gone over out the country, comes back. That's all he got was the $10,000. And he was trying to figure out how come he wasn't getting any more, because this book
Blew
was
up.
was making hundred thousands of dollars. Come to find out, he finally got an attorney to look at the paperwork, and he had actually signed over his rights to the book. This Midwestern bishop knew that, but this young man did not. I mean, so he basically like stole this book from him. Yes, he gave him that $10,000, but that is nothing compared to what he should have been given, and that was just so vile. And I just was like, that's horrible.
Very vile because,
Yes.
as you know, I am in the entertainment business and contracts are my thing.
Mm, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
And
he.
so giving
Mhm.
somebody $10,000 in the midst of a crisis
Right.
and having him sign a piece of paper that said, you get nothing from this. That is nothing more than trickery and a liar.
Exactly. Exactly. Total
So I
deception.
want to add to this. So basically, he never wrote those books.
Basically, the majority of them is a ghostwriter, and definitely in regards to that young man, he provided the material, allegedly.
Everything here is, what did you just say?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, and in my opinion.
Yes, in
So
my
continue
opinion.
on.
Okay, so now I want to talk about like one of the conferences.
Mhm.
Okay, so one of the conferences, I'm talking about big
Keep
time
talking.
money, big time money. And I would say maybe I'm gonna say over 10,000 people were at this conference.
Wait,
And
wait, 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 stop. How many people were at this conference?
over 10,000. Over
I
10,000.
can't breathe because I already know what 10,000 people, I already know the amount of money that would bring in. I can't
Yes.
breathe.
Yes. And of
Okay.
course, they, you have to pay your registration fee. And also they had two floors. One floor they were selling items under the for-profit company, and the other floor they were selling items under the nonprofit part of the nonprofit ministry, I guess you want to call it.
Right.
So, and I mean, and there was a plethora of items sold on both of these floors.
Like what? Give us some examples.
It was books.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that time, they had a card. I, I'm dating myself, but it was like you know how you dial in the internet.
The
They had their
AOL
yeah,
dial-in
they had their own card that they
with
were
his
selling.
picture on it or something? Was
Yeah,
it like, okay, with his
with
picture
their
on it?
picture on it.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And they had
So it's
just a
personal. Like
yeah,
you want to buy it
right,
because
because
you're
of the
putting it in
picture.
your computer
Yes,
with this bishop's face
on
that
it.
you admire, adore, and love.
Right.
So your belief system is that this AOL will, I got a picture of him. I'm blessed. I'm putting
Yes,
it in my computer.
exactly. Exactly.
So let me pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was just so many things. And there was that separation. Like I said, there was one floor where it was the for profit items, and then there was another floor where it was the nonprofit ministry items.
Mm-hmm.
So now the thing is that this Midwestern bishop always tried to promote that he's for blacks, for our people. And so, everyone that was basically volunteering was black. And so it was, you had to pay to park there. So there were expenses of being a volunteer here. And they did not, reimburse anybody. But the thing was, they were making so much money that the guy would come. Now, listen, like I said, he's supposed to be promoting, I'm for blacks, see, look, all my volunteers, my staff. But the money man was a white man. So the man that was handling his money was a white man.
Mm.
And so he would come at least twice during the time to gather the money. He had his suitcase. He would come, you count it, you give it to him, he put it in the suitcase. And it was making so much money that he just was walking back and forth. He would go take, after the suitcase was full, he would take it wherever he took it, and then he would come back and fill it up again. And this was happening on both floors. So for whatever reason, I was informed that allegedly, when there was too much money in the coffers under the for profit, somehow this money was transferred over to the nonprofit. So I'm thinking, wow, that right there is a red flag that something is going to happen to them regarding the IRS. And it did. They had to pay the piper. I guess because, I mean, that was trickery. I mean, you already see what they're doing. And I allegedly they did have to pay the IRS because that was not proper accounting.
So here's what I hear you saying, that the for profit for-profit side was had reached its max, from what it sounds like to me, several times.
Right. And for profit, you got to pay taxes. Nonprofit,
Right.
you're tax exempt.
Right. Was that 5013 or
C3.
502C?
Mm-hmm.
502
501c3.
501C3.
C3. Mm-hmm.
And that's for churches only, or is it
Oh
also
no, nonprofits,
anything
ministries,
nonprofit?
anything nonprofit where the IRS has given you tax exemption status.
Right, right. And so for
Hmm.
the for profit, like I think I understand now, there must be items that they couldn't put under tax exempt. So that becomes the for profit side.
Right. The for profit. Hmm.
But they were gaining so much money on the for profit side
Hmm.
that when they reach what they considered their max, and I don't know what their max could be, then they put the monies with the nonprofit sides.
Correct.
That
Correct.
is a conflict with the IRS. And I'm going to tell you something, speaking from the purple couch.
Hmm.
If they got caught at that and the IRS was like, listen, you can't do this. So let's talk about how you should take care of things. And the IRS is very clear. They're like, boom, 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 from now on. Okay, guys?
Hmm.
The problem with being caught the first time with IRS is that they never stop watching you
Right.
and they won't call you on the carpet. So the IRS knows for the next 5 years, you're going to be careful.
And you better be.
After that, if you were sneaky once, you're going to do it again.
Mm.
And they've been watching you since the first time you got caught. So the IRS is no joke. They'll let you do whatever you want to do,
Wow.
but they will document and document and time it and document. So by the time they come back in 10 years later,
Mm.
they got you.
They got you. Allegedly.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. The
we're
IRS,
not
they
going to
got you.
work for the IRS, so we have to say allegedly, but they don't
Right.
play.
Exactly. Exactly. And so,
See, that's
you
pretty dirty, though.
yeah, and you see, and especially like I stated, people volunteering and you're not even compensating them, you're not feeding them, you're not reimbursing them for any expenses that they have till it's like really, and you're making money hand over fist with you got the registration, you already have all these items for sale and people are eating them up because it's like it's connected to the bishop. So, it
One
has
person,
yes, yes,
one
yes,
person who, by the way, they've replaced as their God.
yes, definitely, definitely. And one thing I do recall them saying
Mm-hmm.
when the conference started was like it's like they were like, I know that some of you all are here and some of you may um wanted to bring your wives because it was like a male thing, and they said and some of you all may have your boyfriends here.
Huh?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah.
So they're supposedly joking.
Supposedly, supposedly, but they knew you know that was something going on.
So is this a gateway? Is church a gateway to hiding out same sex issues?
I believe that. I believe that. I believe that there's this underground society, I'm gonna say, of men where they come into the ministry
Mm-hmm.
and they have this tendencies towards the same gender,
Yes.
but they're told to get married and have kids because that's the cover up.
Wait,
And
wait, wait. They're told they're it's orchestrated inside the church to be on a download, and they are instructed
mhm,
to get married.
yes, and have kids.
Oh my God. And
Yes.
that's the cover up.
That is the cover up, allegedly. Yes.
So the church is a gateway.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So it's so much happening, not just in the Catholic Church, how it got blown, and it
Oh
seemed like people really
God.
didn't consider that it's happening in all denominations.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So we got women married to men inside of these other denominations, right? Right now we're
Hmm.
talking about Baptist, gospel, mega churches,
Yes. Baptist, mega churches, gospel, Pentecostal, non-denominational. Yeah.
where they come in, most likely they come in gay. They don't come in bi, they come in
Right.
gay.
Right.
And to keep the church on the up and up, they tell them, make sure you marry and have kids,
Hmm.
but they still have sex
With
with,
both. Hmm.
and the wives are clueless.
Some of them are clueless, but some of them, I believe, eventually know. But because now they have this prestige, and I'm a first lady, they
They
ride
can't,
with it. Hmm.
they can't give it up.
Right. I know one woman who, for 25 years, her and her husband was not intimate.
For 25 years?
25 years, and she went to their bishop. Now, he was a pastor. She went to their bishop, and they just said, because she said what she suspected, and they just told her to cover him.
Oh, so they use code words even.
Yes.
They use code words to tell a woman to shut up.
Exactly.
So before you continue, oh my God, I can't breathe right now. Um, these are what the people are saying. They hide behind man-made doctrines and promote it.
Hmm.
A lot of boys coming into church who are extra heavy into it usually were gay.
Hmm.
There's another woman said that she was a pastor's wife, and she said much of what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, this person, she said, sorry, this person, sorry, Kathy. Sometimes my
It,
Isra said that she was a pastor's wife, and much of what you're saying is true. And not all men, but I've noticed that some church men are very feminine.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's really sad because they are aware of what they are doing and really putting their spouses at risk. And that
Well,
is true, Jada. Some of them will go as far as to blame the woman. Hmm.
I mean, even for a pastor to for a woman to come in complaining that my my husband is not having sex with me. The pastor knows her husband's gay,
Yeah.
and then looks her dead in the eye and says, "Cover him."
Yes.
What's a woman supposed to say to that?
Exactly.
Lie for him? Is that what he's really saying to her?
Basically,
Cover him.
cover
Lie.
him. Hmm. Cover him.
Mm.
And I also had a coworker who was engaged to a young man, and I want to say this was maybe their third marital counseling session. And because the church wasn't too far from our job, so she would go on her lunch break. And one day she came back from from her lunch break, from her marital counseling, and she came straight to my office and was just overwhelmed, crying, and I knew her dad was a minister, and I thought something had happened to him because she was just bawling, and I mean, like, I didn't understand what was going on, and she was trying to talk, and I finally calmed her down, and she said to me, she said, "I just left my marital counseling session, and my fiance said to the bishop," this is another bishop,
Not
but
the
I
bishop that we were talking
right,
about that left the East Coast,
and
wound up in the Midwest.
West. No,
You're
not this
telling
one.
a different story about a different
A
pastor.
different, right, but they are friends. This Midwestern bishop and this bishop I'm talking about now are friends, very
Mm,
close friends. And
mm.
she said that her fiance said to him that he still loved him. And that bishop said, "I told you this could never last." So they had a relationship, and they are just talking this right in front of her.
So start
And
over. Start over. Maybe I missed something. Who loves who?
her fiance said that he still loved that bishop. And the bishop said,
In front
"I
of
told
the
if
fiance.
right." He just, I guess he couldn't take it anymore. I mean, this was like their third marriage. I guess he wanted him to know that I really want you,
I
Bishop.
really love you over this
Right,
woman I'm about to
right,
marry.
right, right.
I gotta breathe. So she's crying.
I mean, overwhelmed, just tore up, because to her, this came from left field. I mean, she didn't have a clue that her fiance was even like this. Yeah. And I mean, they both were going to that church. And of course, that broke the engagement. But yeah,
You know what? In the spiritual world, this man couldn't marry her. It must have been killing him.
yeah,
He couldn't marry her.
yeah.
So the best he could offer her was to speak the truth in front of her.
In her front,
And I
right.
know that would have broke any woman. It would have broke any woman.
Mm.
But I want to say thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes, thank
Jesus.
you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, yes, yes,
I
yes,
know I've never been put in that position, but I know that's a hard thing to hear.
yes.
but at
Definitely.
least she's free. Because imagine being married to someone who's on the down low, but really, really is in love with the very preacher that you go to church with
Church.
every.
Yes. Yes.
And so you
Yes.
sitting there in church admiring the preacher and your wife right there.
Yes. Yes.
Now, you brought up another point, and I'm almost afraid to ask this question, but we need to know. Are all of these pastors gaming all of us? Are we all put on game?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. You know,
Like,
because
I'm saying, are they all friends? And do they have like private conferences to game us? Game the
yeah,
congregation, game us on whether or not they really care about women.
I believe so. And I recall one time that they all went on a trip. It was four of them. They went on a trip. And the reason why I know is because one of them was my direct pastor, and he had one of the elderly parishioners to pay for his airline ticket on her credit card. And
Because he
so
was hiding that?
he was hiding it, but also he was trying to hang with the big dogs, you
Oh,
know, and so he had to, do what he had to do
on her credit card.
on her credit card.
And
And
this is
and
the secretary?
no, this is just an elderly member of the church.
He took advantage of an elderly member and her
Mhm,
retirement money and had her
mhm.
pay for a ticket to hang with the other big dog pastors.
Yes. And told her, because at that time I worked in the office, that I would write a check to her to cover that.
Did you get to write that check?
No. I didn't, but he got someone else to.
Yeah, but we don't know what he covered.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was my direct pastor, it was the Midwestern pastor, it was the pastor over them, and there was another pastor. And four of them started their journey. They went to one location, then they went to another location, and then they ended up in Jamaica. And in Jamaica, they allegedly had some little rendezvous with some of the same gender. And there was a
And
card given to one of them, and another young lady found the card. And it was this young male stating how much they loved them and couldn't wait to see them again, and just pouring out this undying love and what a wonderful time and all this. It was a very mushy type of card. And I told the police put it back when you found it. But I mean, these are the things that you're seeing, and
no, please put it back.
yes, that's what it was.
Please,
Put it
please
back.
put it back.
Yes,
We will never discuss this again.
exactly,
Now, here's
exactly.
my problem with the way you and I are talking.
Mhm.
We are not against the LGBTQAI plus community. I don't know if
Not
I
at
put,
all.
I don't know if I put all the letters right. We are not.
No.
We are, however, against a bunch of pastors having rendezvous with each other and then going to another country and rendezvousing with the same sex in that country. And most of the pastors are married.
Yes, that's it. And then some of them are actually in their pulpits against the same gender issues. They are preaching against it. And so
They're
it's
doing
hypocrisy.
gender,
Right. It's hypocrisy. You know,
just liars.
right. I mean, if you're going to be what you're going to be what you're going to be. But don't be dishonest and jeopardize other people's lives.
Let me tell you something. Meanwhile, we have people leaving church every day
Yes.
that doesn't let someone be gay in their family because
Yes.
they just left a church that spoke against it. And
Yes.
you're telling me that these pastors comrade with one another in a FO, now that we know what this is,
Right.
now that we have a name for it, and they rendezvous going from house to house to house, all on vacation, going to this location, that location, that location. Probably, I'm thinking, doesn't really matter. And then get to another country. And if you guys don't know Jamaica, Jamaica sets up private touristy communities.
Mhm.
So you're not going to be seen.
Yeah.
No one's going to question anything overseas,
Right. Right.
especially in the touristy communities.
Mm.
They're not
Yes.
going out in the public
No.
with the peoples of Jamaica telling them who they are.
Right.
They're hiding out on the down low. And from what I'm getting, doing each other.
Yeah. Definitely, allegedly, possibly, all of that.
Let me tell you something. I know girls go on girl trips. I want to encourage women to stop going on girl trips.
Right.
Because when you go on girl trips, your guys get to match you. And they go on guy trips. And I know of a scenario from one of my clients from years ago. And every time the football game, like y'all don't know why men like football. Every time the football came on, the girls didn't want to stick around. And they wanted to, the guys would say, take this money, go shopping. And the girls would leave like, I got my money from my baby. Let's take the Rolls Royce, got the money. This went on for years. And then there was a time when one of the girls forgot something. And they were forced to come back to the house. And all the bedrooms had been occupied.
Wow.
Because they were all doing each other.
Oh my goodness.
So this that you're telling me about these pastors, I believe you.
Yes.
I believe you.
Yes.
Now that we're coming to a place with these freak offs and certain people of the cloth is showing up and we're questioning, right?
Yeah, it makes you question
It makes
what
you
is really going
what
on
is
here.
happening. And
Yes.
so when you get someone inside that can tell you more, stop questioning.
All right.
This is real. This is real talk.
Yes.
And the gospel community, because we know about the Catholic Church, lawsuits and everything. It's
Right.
disgusting.
Yes.
But now we got like pastors in the gospel community
Yes.
that's been doing things on the down low for years.
For years.
Making money off of you, tricking the congregation for
Yes.
years.
And that's another thing that really would upset me, because a lot of times they're fleecing, what they call fleecing the flock, because what they do, a lot of people, these bishops and Evangelists, preachers, they go and they say, okay, I'm going to take up a second offering. God told me to take up this offering. You come up here, get in this line, $100 line, $1,000 line, or plant your seed, and I'm going to pray over you, or I'm going to give you a prophecy. But the thing is, a lot of people think that, oh, God just spoke to them at that moment. No, this has been pre-planned. They have
So,
already told the pastor of that church, I'm going to take up a second offering. And a lot of times when they take up the second offering, they're saying, I'm going to take the cash and you all have to deal with the checks, because a lot of these people are walking up there in faith. Some of them don't have that money in the bank, but they coming on faith because of what this preacher said.
they'll write
And
a check for $1,000 and not have it in the bank.
not have it in the bank, and them checks are bouncing with all that rubber like a ball, and them
The
churches
poor
are left with the bag.
congregation, they're so hoodwinked
Yes,
that they would write a check that's not there.
yes,
I find that interesting. Why wouldn't you have a congregation write a check that's not there? You're teaching, you're the liar.
yes,
You're the liar pastor. What
yes.
do you think you're producing?
Mm-hmm,
But in any case, the visiting pastor
mm-hmm.
would tell the pastor of the church, I'll take the cash, you take the checks. Because
You
I don't
take
know
the
what check is
checks.
going to bounce.
Exactly. And then some of them will come up with an agreement that, okay, they always going to have their person to go back with the deacons of the church to make sure the money is counted and is what
I've
it
seen,
is.
I've
Yeah.
seen that.
And
I've
some
seen
of,
that.
yes. And they will say, now some of them may have uh, an agreement that, okay, count up all the checks and you give me the money or part of it. They'll say what percentage they want and they take the cash. Now, some bishops, you're not even going to get them to come to your church or even get on their schedule unless you pay $10,000 up front.
So this East Coast pastor that's now in the Midwest,
Hmm.
is he the type of person that would say, like, if I were to call your church and I would be like, I need this pastor on February, yada, yada, boom, 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 to even accept the opportunity, not saying yes.
Right. But to get on the books, to get written in the book, we want $10,000. And then a lot of times they want some more before they even get on the pulpit. There's another amount that they want,
Fee to get on the
yep, to,
pulpit.
to even get on the pulpit. And I have
So
known some of them to leave when that fee was not available.
it's not about being mad at a pastor to have a 10K speaking engagement. That's not really, like, speakers get paid,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But speakers get paid to give a great message
From God.
from God.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a speaker and I'm talking about wellness and spirituality, and this is my fee to talk,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a fee to book me. That's a
Right.
fee for me to come talk.
Right.
We're talking about a fee just to get on the calendar, and then another fee to talk. But I'm a hypocrite pastor.
Right.
So I'm all about money and
Money.
tricking the congregation. So I'm sorry, I am mad at a pastor that can only book based upon a $10,000 fee, and you gallivanting in Jamaica with your other pastor buddies, and you're telling the congregation you cannot be gay.
Mm-hmm.
I am mad at that.
Right. And it's not even just, okay, say yeah. like you said, the 10,000 should cover on the books, and I'm on my way. But it does not stop at that. There's still another fee before I even get into the pulpit. So you done paid the 10,000. Now there's another fee before I walk on that pulpit floor and start preaching. And then I'm still going to take up a second offering, and I'm going to get my money from that.
What are we learning then? If it's all about money and appointments and in order for me to step up on a pulpit, when do I
Yeah.
get to learn about God?
Right.
When is my message clear? When am I not being guilted to get on the line? This is the line for $1,000 check.
Yeah.
This is the line for $500. But I know you got 1,000. But we're gonna have a line for $500. But this is the we're gonna concentrate on the $1,000 line.
Yes.
When does it not become about money
Right.
and trickery and
And
dishonesty?
yeah. Yeah. And I remember there were some bishops that came to my business because they didn't want to go and eat out because they felt that they were um what you want to say, well known, I don't know, but they didn't want to eat out, so they were in our establishment and they proceeded to talk about who raised the most money, and they stated that one person raised 30,000 in 30 minutes, so that person beat out the rest of them. So I mean, it's even for bragging rights. How much did you raise? Not how many people came to God, Christ, and found God and want a relationship with God. It's about how much money did you raise? Well, this person beat all of y'all.
Oh my God. You
And
know,
see, this isn't stuff I've heard. I've was there, and it disturbed me
it's
because
the
it's
little things. It's not the big things.
right,
It's the little things. You pay for dinner because you tricked the most people out their money.
right, yeah. And see, and again, it's not even after the 10K, then the other fee, then I'm taking up the second offering. But this church also has paid for their accommodations, paid for their airline tickets. So I mean,
Wait a second. And they come with an entourage.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Security, adjutants.
what's an adjutant?
It's like a an assistant, someone who may carry their Bible and make sure they have the right water when they preaching. That type of person. Carry
Yeah,
their
I've seen that person.
yeah,
I had become Baptist for a little bit, and I seen that person. I've been in every denomination
yeah,
looking for God, and I've
right,
had to walk out of every denomination because God never showed up.
right.
I was like, God, God,
Oh. Say, where are you?
help me, God.
Mm-mm-mm.
I just had to keep walking out. And then I figured out I kept looking for God, but God was in me.
To me, yes, yes,
And I had to figure out a way to present God in the way I was looking for him.
yes,
And
yes.
I'm going to give you a good example of God. Because in my world, it's also very easy to overcharge, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I keep my prices what it is for years. The only time I upped it was for the hour readings,
Okay.
because if you do an hour reading, you're serious.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk. There's a lot going on. If somebody pays for an hour, we're talking,
Right.
right? And so my readings are, you know, cheap because I know the nurse can pay for my reading,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? The
Right.
respiratory therapist, right? The
Right.
paralegal, the lawyer,
Right.
the VP. I know they can pay for my readings.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are not worried about that.
Right.
But the girl in the hood on welfare,
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid, I've gotten girls in shelters
Mm-hmm.
that will pay for the smallest amount of reading.
Wow.
So I know what's happening here
Mm-hmm.
when a church takes advantage of the people. Because in that congregation, you got people with nice cars coming up in that church looking cute,
Right.
putting on them shoes, that silky outfit,
The hat.
the hat, bigger. You can't even, the poor children, they can't see.
Yeah.
They got hat closets, hat boxes. You know they can pay. The whole suit they're wearing, you know.
Right.
But what about the girl that's just looking for God because she's not sure if her Medicaid welfare monies are coming through, and she
Yeah.
needs answers? And you're
Exactly.
asking her to pay
Yes.
a tithe, and then you look at her dirty when she can't.
Right.
You know, I used to have a cousin when I was in a Baptist church. It was my cousin's Baptist church, but I joined that church too. I joined every church. I was like, God, do I join this one? And my cousin used to let in the church that we were in, they would pass the bowl down. Pass it down, pass it down. And she would tap it. And I would look at her.
Oh.
But I got it for her.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have it.
Right.
So when you don't have it, you tap the bowl. I respected her for that.
Mm-hmm. But it's also sad that in a lot of these mega churches, um, now if they want to go with, okay, we bring all the tithes into the storehouse, it's supposed to be so they'll be meeting my house to help those in need. But when there's someone who has a need and they come and say, my lights are out or I'm
Right.
about to get evicted, then they go and say, well, let me see how many tithes you put into this church. And if you have no record or your record isn't good, despite you might have lost your job or whatever, they will deny you.
What?
They will deny help and assistance. Yeah. Yep. They will deny you. I mean, and some of them, you can't serve in ministry. You can't. I'm a talk about me. There was one time when the company I was working for went bankrupt, so they couldn't even pay my last invoice. So of course, if I'm not getting any money, I'm not paying. I was on the praise and worship team, and they saw that like 2 Sundays I didn't put anything in the basket.
Yeah.
So they called me in to tell me, we noticed that you have not pay any tithes. And that is a requirement to remain on the praise and worship team. And I
What?
said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, I was not aware." And I said, "And the other thing is, I was going to come for assistance because if you would have asked me, my company went bankrupt. So I'm not even working to give anything."
Right.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But you come to me straight up like, this is a requirement. Why are you not paying?
We're about to kick you out.
Exactly. The praise and worship team. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a lot of craziness. I mean, I remember they this was another friend of mine's. He her- well, I know her, and her husband was a drummer, and the pastor had assessed all of people in ministry. They had to come up with like $1,200. Now, their basement had just got flooded, and the pastor was aware of this, but he still wanted that $1,200 from the guy
From-
and the drummer. So she was in pieces, and she was just sharing the story. And I knew this pastor as well, and I went to him and I said, "Are you aware that your drummer is in need, and yet
your
you took?"
drama, your
Yes, your
drama, who
drummer.
makes the church.
Yes,
Don't get it twisted, people. That
yes,
drummer kills in that.
yes. Hmm.
Oh my God. So you said, are you aware?
That their basement is flooded, and you still took the money, the 1,200. And oh yes, yes, yes. And I said, "Well, they need it back." Oh, I definitely, definitely. Oh my goodness, yes. We were going to do something for them. Yeah, okay. Well, obviously you hadn't, because it's been over a week. So he did end up giving the money back.
Not without you,
Right,
had it not been for you.
right.
When we talked the other day, you were telling me something because it sounds like you and I come from the same pod, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so you were saying something about your alliance to a wife of a pastor
Yes.
that was no longer the wife. Tell that story because that's really funny.
Well, there was a pastor of the church I grew up in, and he had a mistress in the church. Now, I was very close to his wife
Hmm.
and his granddaughter, and every the granddaughter used to tell me, but I would stand up for him. No, no, that's not true. You don't have a mistress, blah blah blah. But it turned out that she was such, and his wife actually had a stroke, and so she wasn't really, of course, as vibrant and in the church as she was.
Hmm.
So this lady, the mistress, had told us that her boyfriend had bought her this home with a pool. And so we were like, okay. And I didn't know why she was telling us. We were much younger than her. I mean, she's a grown woman, and I guess she called herself bright. I don't know what it was. But anyway, one of the other guys in the church, he came and brought us the real estate section of the newspaper, because if you put a significant amount down on any house in our area, you could get written up in the real estate section of the newspaper. And so it so happened that the pastor had bought this house and was written up. So now we start putting two together and saying, okay, so he the boyfriend that bought this house for the mistress. Now, the wife was still living at this
Was
time, but she had had a stroke. So now she goes, and one day the wife ate some greens that was in the house. Now, she was aware of this mistress, and I am more than certain, because we've found out that the mistress had those greens delivered over there. And the wife was talking to her cousin, and what happened was that she dropped the phone, and she said her heart, and she dropped the phone. So the cousin called the pastor, her husband, and was like, "You need to check on your wife," because they had separate rooms. They was in the same house though. "You need to check on
Mhm.
your wife." And he was like, "Okay." So of course the ambulance came, but my godmother, when she arrived, he was fully dressed. Now this was like 1 a.m. in the morning, which
Mm.
led us to believe that he had, you could transfer your phone to another phone. So
Back
he
in the day.
obviously, yes, he obviously had
This is
transferred his
before
phone.
cell phones.
Right. Before
Hmm.
cell phones. And so he
Right.
had transferred his phone. So that's why he came fully dressed. And he also had his assistant washing pots. Now, the ambulance and everybody there, why you have somebody washing pots? So that was just a red flag. Anyway, she passed away. Um, she didn't, recover. So we start hearing that he was moving. And so he was like, okay, I'm telling you. So we started hearing that he was moving, and he was telling everybody, "No, I'm not. I don't know why you hearing this." He's telling this from the pulpit. "No, I'm not. No, why are you hearing this?" So anyway, me and my friends, we went to the movies, and I was like, "Hey, I knew where he lived." I said, "Let's stop by there. I want to know if he's moving." So they was like, "Are you for real?" "Yes, I'm for real." Now it was like 10 o'clock. We had came from the movies, but I said, "Oh, his light is on, so he up." So we go, we ring the bell. So while they're talking to him, I'm looking. He didn't let us get past the threshold. So I'm
Hmm.
looking, and I see there's no furniture in the living room, because I know how the house is laid out. No furniture is
Hmm.
in the living room, and I see some boxes. And I'm like, well, Abby, he is moving. So he was like, "Oh, daughters," calling us daughters. "Well, y'all out in the night." And we was like, "Okay, but we're about to go now." So we leave. That was a Saturday. That Sunday, he in the pulpit, and he's saying, "Yeah, the daughters came by, and I was glad to see them and everything like that." And I was thinking, wow, but you are moving, buddy. So you just lied up in the pulpit saying you're moving. So then the next Sunday, the rumor got out that he was going to be marrying the mistress. And he got up there and said, "If I marry a monkey, it is my business." And I said, "And that's what you are marrying." I didn't know it came out my mouth, but at this time I was just really done, because my loyalty was to his first wife. So and people heard me, and I was like, I didn't even care. So
Yeah.
eventually we found out that's he married her. He married the mistress,
That was such a
and
slow burn. It
yeah.
just that went from shock to surprise to laughter. And I'm doubled over now. That's such a
Yes.
slow burn.
And then I got so bitter. I got so bitter. And I forgot to tell you this part. At her funeral, this is before that they got married. At her funeral, I asked, could I march the choir around to go past the casket, right?
Mm.
So when I get up there to march the choir around, she sits and doesn't want to go. So I say to her, "Don't be scared. She's dead. She won't get you." And the rest of them adults was looking at me like, "Oh my God, this girl is off the chain." And she went, "Oh." and like grabbed her pearls, but she still didn't get up and come around and march, to see her. So of course now they're married. We don't know who did the ceremony or whatever, but they got married. And so I was like, this is really crazy because he I mean, everything that we heard came true. And and also I used to do the announcements, right? And so at this time they had combined the choirs because she wanted all this power, so she's over the choirs. And so I'm telling them that this choir has rehearsal and this is, by way of your president. And I didn't say her name. And so she got mad because I did not acknowledge her as the president. So she went and told
As the
him
president or as the Mrs.?
as the Mrs. and the the Mrs. as the Mrs. the new Mrs.
Okay.
So she went and told the pastor that I did not say her name. And so he called me in and said, I understand you did not acknowledge her. And I said to him, well, Miss so and so is dead, which let him know I was not acknowledging her as the new Mrs. whatever, because the Miss I know is gone. And he just said, okay, daughter. And I left out. Now, what also happened is years later, you know, I left soon after that. But years later, I came back to support someone who was doing a trial sermon. And he asked me, why did I leave the church? And when am I coming back? And this was down after the whole service was over. Everybody was downstairs eating, and it was everyone down there. And so he's sitting there with his new wife, they at the head table, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. We can go into your office and I can tell you. And he was like, no, no, you can say it right here. Whatever you need to say, you can say it right here. So now I'm trying to be the adult about it because he's much older than me. Yeah. And so I said, okay. I said, I left because you married your mistress. And everybody froze. And he was like, that's the devil. That's the devil. And I was like, no, I am not. And right. Sir, you have no heaven or hell to put me in. And I was like,
good for you.
And then, some of the ministers was running after me after I left out. And they was like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And so the thing that really tripped me out was that that was a Saturday. That Sunday, I got a call from my mom and said he wanted me to call him. And she said that he preached a sermon called Holy Spirit, like telling the Holy Spirit to come back on him. And I was like, wow. So the next day I did call and he apologized to me, which was like, no, we know him to have never apologized, even when he was wrong, just bold-faced wrong. And he said, daughter, you can come and visit anytime you want. And I was like, okay. And I hung up that phone and I was like, wow. And my mom was like, he was convicted.
Right.
And all those grown folks around him, none of them said, right.
The emperor has no clothes.
Yes.
It had to come from somebody with younger eyes.
Wow.
Jada goes, his wife is haunting him.
Oh gosh.
All right. Speaking
Yes.
from the purple couch, this has been a pleasure.
It
I
has been
mean,
my pleasure.
oh, thank you. I mean, just to recap with the pastor that left the East Coast and now lives in the Midwest. And, we're leaving the names out on purpose, guys, but maybe you all can, put some names in a hat and pick out the same name every time. Um, what I didn't ask you was, as an example, because I'm sure these things have gone up over the years, but at your time frame, how much was the registration fee for some of these conferences that all had the same name?
They were running about 150 to, like, you had the general and then you had the VIP. And so the general could be like 150 and the VIP could be like 250.
Got it. Got it. And
Mhm.
you said at least, I don't even want to do the numbers because I'll just get mad. At least 10,000
Mhm.
people would be at these overpopulated conferences.
Yes. Mhm. Yep.
So the name of the conferences are the name of like several books that are written, you know,
Mhm.
and all the while teaching women that they have something to change about them,
Mhm.
coming from a man that is at FO parties,
I guess their own, allegedly, their own whatever they're
their
doing.
own type
Yeah, their own type.
of
Mhm.
FOs. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, we did good here. Um, the other thing I heard is that same unnamed pastor has daughters who are doing their own scandalous stuff,
Yeah, a lot of pastors,
children,
their children are, they call them PK kids, and some of them have some issues.
major
PK
issues.
kids. Hmm.
Yeah. All right. How about if we stop and I honor your presence, your
And
honesty, your girth?
Mhm.
Clearly this is not your first time having to have girth. Within the in a community, you've had to set some laws down with some of
Yes.
these.
Yes.
So you're not to be messed with, clearly.
Yeah.
But I do love how responsible we were tonight.
Yes.
Um, because we don't need to mention names,
Right.
everyone.
Right.
There's a problem in the gospel community, and you all are giving your hard earned monies. And just think about it. Some of you all don't have savings accounts,
Exactly.
but you're giving tithes to pastors that all know each other, all
Hmm.
freak off together,
Hmm.
all eat at expensive restaurants like they're having a pissing match,
Hmm.
all
Yes.
vacation together without their wives. Start
Yes.
looking at those pastors that are in other countries without their wives. Start
Right.
looking at them and go, is your wife here?
Right. Right.
Look at all these men sitting together. Start calling them out.
Definitely.
Um, I want to say the most responsible thing, but I'll say it this way. COVID is a big messenger, and people may have forgotten the message.
Mm.
But the first thing that COVID attacked was the churches.
Yes.
That church in Seattle, all those members, unalived because of COVID. That was the
Yes.
first church where they understood that the breath, imagine that breath
Yes.
breathing through the choir, right? Message,
Yes.
message one. And then Notre Dame burnt down.
Yes.
Message two. COVID don't like churches. And COVID is God, if anybody forgot.
Mm,
If anybody forgot, COVID was not the devil. It's not this. It was God. God's tired.
very
And
much so.
thank you. And at the very least, he's sending messages like, wake up. You're spending money on pastors that can't prove their lifestyle to be clean,
Right. Right.
right?
And
They're not,
condemning you.
and condemning you. They're
Yes.
not going into the, one of my group mates says this all the time, Sky. Like, she can count the churches, 5 churches around her, and they
Mm,
don't do nothing for the community.
wow.
And when they do, it's selective. It's
Mm,
feed the homeless during Christmas,
wow.
once a year, Easter.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Right. And you know something else, Tracy, that really bothers me
Tell me.
is that we have these humongous church structures.
Yes.
But when people need shelter because of tornadoes and these floods, why is it that the schools are open for people to go into? Why the church can't open their doors and have these people come in and be fed and set up cots?
No.
What is something is wrong? If you are to show the love of God, why aren't you there to support and help the communities? That I have This has just bothered me for so many years. It's like, really?
Yeah.
What are you all there for? What is going on all during the week in this big structure that people have to help pay the electricity and all these things, and yet it's not servicing the community, especially when they need housing and shelter. You can't open up the doors. It has to be the recreation centers and places like that, the government places.
Yeah. I belong to a beautiful, beautiful Presbyterian church, and I'm also an elder. And so we're there for all types of meetings. And one of the meetings that we had to do with earthquakes.
Mm,
And the first rule that they pointed out to us is that if there's a major earthquake, you cannot let people in the church.
what?
Yes. Yes. I was an elder, and that was a directive.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck?
Wow.
Right.
Phew.
This is the
That's
truth. What you're saying is the God's honest truth. My Presbyterian church said absolutely not.
wow.
Yep.
Yet it sits empty. Wh-
They won't let anybody in. We've been instructed.
Wow, that's so sad.
Sad.
That's so sad. And and you don't the church doesn't want any oversight from the government, but yet the
Right.
government a lot of times is stepping in to do what the church should be doing. Jesus said, when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. So what are we doing here? What are we doing? Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Speaking from the purple couch, I think as spiritual people, I think we all needed this. And I just
I
want to thank
pray.
you.
And I want to thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, please give your thoughts of what you think about everything here tonight. Speaking from the Purple Couch, if you have any questions or want to contact her, this is her information on the screen, chillshill at 80AOL.com. It's her email address. And I'm here for you. I'm here to do your readings. Text me at 213-458-7408. Please like, please subscribe. If you like, it helps others that are talking about these very topics. All right? Thank you so much, speaking from the Purple Couch. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's an honor. It's a pleasure.
It's been
Oh,
real. I'm thankful to God for you, and definitely your chat, your viewers, your subscribers. I'm just thankful to God for you.
we're thankful for you. I speak on behalf of everyone that will watch this video. We're thankful to you. We've gotta
Mm.
we've gotta bust this stuff wide open.
Yes.
I don't know when Armageddon is coming.
Right. Right.
I know
Yeah.
what line I'm gonna be on, and it's not gonna be on $1,000 line.
No, not at all. And that's why I created my nonprofit Women of Virtue, and I that's where I do my ministry.
Yes,
If I didn't have that personal relationship with God, based on all these things that I have seen, I certainly would have just been like, "Oh, forget all this." You
you
know.
can. You
Yes.
can. Which most people have. That's why people stop going to church.
Yes.
So, one, you have an excellent speaking voice. I'd love to see you on a radio show. And I'd love to see your radio show uh, give stories to
Okay.
you about what's going on in their church. Leaving the names out, but you could, like, oh my God, I know this church, whether you want to mention the church name or not, but tell the stories. Let people get these stories out.
Stories. Oh, I would love to do that.
That would be great.
Yes, I
That
would
would be
love to do that.
amazing. And you know what? While I had you before the show started, did I hear you singing?
Yes.
Girl, she got the voice, guys. I was like, and she sings? Oh my God. Oh my God. You just did a little bit, and I was like, oh, and she sings. Girl, get your radio show, sing your own songs, and have people come on to talk about how dirty their church is. And let me tell you this story, or read a story. Send her an email so she could read the story. We're going to clean out churches. Spiritual people are going to clean out churches. Oh, somebody wants you to
Amen.
sing for us.
Oh, well, you know,
Do you know I surrender all?
I do, but I'm really kind of shy. That's why I didn't even know that you caught me singing.
Everything, nothing. I mean, I can everything. That's the gift of my world. I'm not missing nothing.
I'm like, oh no, she didn't hear me. I didn't know.
Is I surrender all too much?
Yeah, I'm just, a little shy. I
Okay, we're going
you
to
know,
respect the shyness.
yeah, but sometimes I do um sing little snippets of worship songs,
Yeah.
even some of them that I make up on my YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Make them up, child, because no, seriously, make them up, because you'll be surprised that somebody will come along and be like, "What was that song? Please write it."
Oh wow, okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Yes.
to let you know how kind of shy I am about singing, I created a cartoon that sings it. It's my voice, but it's the cartoon. It's the cartoon character. It's a cute
I
character.
love that. Well, there's enough. There's, you know how they have on iPhone. I don't know if you have iPhone. I didn't check.
No, I have Android.
Android. Well, on the iPhone, we have these characters that we build.
Uh-huh.
It's on Facebook.
Okay, yes. I built mine on an app.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And then you could talk and sing through that. I got
Right.
you.
Mhm.
Oh, we're gonna need to see that someday. Emojis, yes. We're gonna have to see that someday.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, sweetie. Thank you so much.
Okay, and thank you again, Miss Tracy.
You're welcome. Don't forget, guys, this is where you can conversate. Her email address is on the screen, shill, SHLL at AOL.com.
Right. And Speaking from the Purple Couch is my YouTube channel.
Yes, her YouTube channel is Speaking from the Purple Couch. Thank you, sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like and subscribe to this channel, and I'm available to do your readings all day tomorrow. So don't hesitate to get your readings before the new year.
Definitely.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. And be
Bye,
blessed.
Thank you. Stay on, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.